G'day, welcome to my art classes. I'm John Mason, artist and illustrator. I'm glad you were able to join me for episode 3. In this episode we're going to explore some of the basic skills of drawing. But probably the most important thing you can do is to just practice drawing. It doesn't matter what you draw, just so long as it reasonably represents what you see. And you need to do a lot of drawing, because you won't be able to draw like Leonardo after watching just one video. It takes practice, and you need to learn from your mistakes, and it takes time. And I'd avoid copying from photographs. They won't train your eye to observe things, and plus you gain more insight into an object when you can actually handle it, and that reflects in your art. So I'm starting with a simple book. Book sounds pretty dull, but it's just made up of simple rectangles, and this will help you learn about perspective, and because it's simple rectangles you'll be able to easily see where you've gone wrong. So why all this focus on still life? It's because drawing and art is about observation, and learning to observe is a lot easier when it's an object that doesn't move. So let's get starting with this book. So a book's a simple rectangle, but this edge is longer than that edge, as you can see. However, when I turn it this way, the spine and the bottom edge are about the same length. Hold your pencil at arm's length vertically, and then check the angle of the bottom of the book and the spine of the book, and remember those angles. While you're there, you might as well measure the length of those two items. So move your thumb down the pencil till it matches the length of the spine, and compare that to the bottom of the book. You can see they're very similar, but the spine is slightly longer. Decide whether the drawing should be the top, the middle, or the bottom of the page. I'm imagining it to be about that sort of space on the page. So with a 2H pencil, just rough it out very lightly. Keep the strokes light. Check it against the vertical to see if they've got those angles that you've remembered. And then just lightly draw it in. We only want light strokes. Check that angle again. Just there. So that when I look at the bottom corner, compare that to vertical, the top corner is not in the right place. It should be further over. So I'll just move that. With the aid of a ruler, I'm going to check that the sides are parallel. Just slide the ruler over. Give it a slight twist to allow for perspective. You can see that there is a slight gain there. Same with this edge. Check it to the other one. Give it a slight check. Now I'm going to mark these in with a 2H pencil. I'm going to mark them a bit darker than I would in reality, just so that you can see the lines clearer. Going around marking out this rectangle. Just sliding the ruler over so as to maintain parallel lines. Add the corner bit in. Right, slide that over to the other side. Give it a slight twist to give it a bit of perspective. As things go into the distance, they become narrower. Same with this edge. Slide it across, give it a little twist. Check that again. Slight twist. Pencil that in. And there we've got the box. Just add that edge in. Before we do that, we need to check the vertical. So put the ruler vertical. It doesn't look like it on camera, but that ruler is vertical. Or distortions of perspective. So vertical lines are always vertical. Now with our rubber, we'll just rub out any unwanted lines, just lightly, because we don't want to scuff up the paper. Now don't brush it off with your hand, use a soft brush or a feather or a paper towel. Just get rid of any unwanted lines. Because otherwise those unwanted lines start to confuse you as to whether you've got it right or not. So we'll just get rid of all of them. Yep, all gone. It's just an old paintbrush I've got there that's got nice soft hairs to brush off the rubbish without leaving any oil from your skin. You can also use a pencil instead of a ruler if you've got a spare pencil there. Check those parallel edges. You can roll a pencil too, which makes it nice and easy. Change into a 4B pencil. I'm going to go and reinforce those 2H lines. Go down that back line. But strangely enough, if you start one end and then go to the other end, backwards and forwards, somehow or another, magically, you're able to join the two lines together. Sometimes you need to use a bit of a sketchy stroke. A little bit backwards and forwards. That just finds the sweet spot on the pencil's edge. I'll just thicken that up. Because the end of the book is a bit thicker. Around that corner. Same thing, come down there, thickening it up. Same along there, start one end. Now we've got the sweet spot on the pencil. Back up the other end. Same here, start there. Down there. Down. And join up. Around that corner. So I'm just following those 2H lines. So they've disappeared now underneath the 4B. Now we need a little edge of the end of the pages themselves. All the way down. Round that corner off. Thicken that bottom up. Add the curve in. Now there's a bit there where the fly paper ends. You know, the fly that tucks inside the book. And then it's all hardback edge to the spine. Round off that corner. Using my pencil, I'm going to mark the bottom of the towers with a very faint 2H line, and then the top of the towers, using the pencil to keep it parallel to the top and bottom of the book. And with a 9B pencil with a well-worn bottom, so it comes out nice and soft. Soft bottoms are always good. Mark where the towers meet the moat water, and then shade in the water at high speed, parallel to the bottom of the book, so it looks more like water. Then up the spine just to soften that line, and then a shadow wider than the top of the spine at the bottom. And then onto the towers. The tower starts about there, goes down to there, but I need to get these parallel to the edges. So using my pencil, I'll work out the tower's going to be about there. But you see, because of perspective, the two edges have slightly different angles, so you need to compromise between the two. So that's that tower marked in. A bit more high-speed shading. Now I've got one tower drawn, I can just follow the angle of that. For the other tower, shade it all in, and then start intensifying bits to give some shape and form to it, doing the top of the tower, the turret around the top. Soften that off, come up that edge. Now with a 4B with the chisel shape, using the flatter side, and go up that edge and soften that line so it doesn't look like a technical drawing. And then with a pointy 4B, just sharpen that line and then add a few faint lines to suggest pages, just to give that book look. Well, that's the basic book complete. A good exercise for you to learn alignment and proportions. Next, adding the lettering is an optional exercise for you with greater challenges in alignment. Try it, but don't get discouraged if you don't succeed on the first attempt. First, we need some guidelines for the height and the position of the letters, plus a few little ticks and other marks to denote where particular letters are going. Using a 4B, pencil in the letters, remembering to keep the verticals of the letters vertical. Imagine all the words in place on the spine so that you can gauge how condensed you'll need to make them so that they end up at the right spot. You may want to try practicing the words on a separate piece of paper first before you attempt it in your actual drawing. With a 2H pencil, mark out guidelines as you did before. Marking a centre line will also help get the letters straight. Check it against the edge. See, that was slightly out. Then with a 4B pencil, mark out the letters. Use another pencil to help guide you to get the verticals of the letters at the right angle. Keep checking against the spine. Refer back to the spine. It's not right, check it again. As you get past the centre, start checking against the other edge. And it's really helpful if you can actually spell. Looks better when it's an L instead of a D. Right, so the space that side and that side are pretty much equal. Now, having marked out the lettering, we'll just lightly rub it out so that they're still there but very faint. Same along the spine, rub out guide marks and then just gently go over the letters so that they're fainter. And now we can start to reinforce the letters neatly now that we know they've worked out to the right length, right spacing, the right angles. A lot of drawing is about refinement. So you just start with a light drawing of whatever it is you're about to draw and then refine it. So you're always working from light to darker. So just keep refining things. It takes a lot of patience, but there's no real shortcuts. There's no miracle ways to do it. It's at this point I am strongly regretting having made this drawing so small. It is making the lettering harder. But with a bit more patience, we will be able to refine this to look passable. G's not quite right, but we can refine that. T was too long. So using a 4B pencil with a chisel point, I'm going to shade in the towers. The chisel point allows me to soft shade with the flat side. Then I can roll the pencil over to the sharp edge for finer details or more intense shadows. I will cover shading or rendering in detail in another episode. The finished drawing and with the camera square on to the work. Well, drawing a book may be a little dull, but it's a simple object that allows you to learn about proportions and alignments. And because it's made up of simple rectangles, it's easy for you to see where you've gone wrong. And you'll learn from those mistakes. And then of course the lettering challenges you even further on that idea of alignment. Before you watch the next episode, practice holding your pencil in a nice relaxed manner. Practice observing. Practice sketching anything. And practice measuring things with your pencil. Practice checking angles from the vertical. And practice drawing lines of different thicknesses and different darkness. The darkness coming from using more pressure with your pencil. Get to know your tools. Get the basic shapes right of an object. There's nothing worse than spending hours putting lots of detail into a drawing, only to realise at the end that the proportions were wrong right from the beginning. It can be quite soul destroying. Anyway, I'm sure you'll learn, provided you practice a lot. Join me for the next episode, where I'll be talking about composition. And composition can make or break an artwork. So, I look forward to seeing you at the next episode. Artists, we know where to draw the line. Join me for the next episode by subscribing using the button below.